The class time is over. All the students are heading back home except for YN and Taehyung. They're standing face to face with storm happening inside them. YN, I'm pregnant, and she said it while staring into his eyes with her tear-filled red ones. Taehyung held his breath. It took him time to process. He blinked slowly, swallowing hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. He could feel his hands turn cold, legs are trembling and heart is pounding like it will come out from his chest anytime. Taehyung held his breath. It took a moment for the words to sink in. But still he managed himself and spoke in a shaky voice with a nervous smile. Taehyung, nice joke. You got me on this seriously. He tried to laugh. YN looked at him and her red eyes showed anger, frustration, and disappointment. Then she dug in her bag with shaking hands, pulled out the little white stick she'd carried since yesterday. YN, look, the lines were still there, though fainter than before, almost invisible. Taehyung leaned in and squinted. Taehyung, it's not clear. YN, it's because I used it yesterday. I'll do another test if you don't believe me. Taehyung, no, it's okay. I believe you. But how does this happen? You said you're on your pills? YN, I was. I don't know why it doesn't work and her voice cracked at the end. Taehyung placed his one hand between his hair and forehead and another hand on his waist. He walked few steps away from YN and stand back facing her. He's clearly looking tensed and frustrated. Fear rose inside YN more. For few minutes none spoke. YN's light sob is just echoing in the silent place. After nobody knows how many minutes, Taehyung walked back to YN and hold her forearm. He took a deep breath and started talking. Taehyung, I'm not ready to be a father. I'm just 20. I've my whole future ahead. I want to concert it on my future. I want to be something. A child, it's a big responsibility, and I can't take that right now. For few minutes YN couldn't utter a single sound. Her hope shattered. Her heart sank. She thought sharing this with him would erase the fear a little. She thought she will give her strength, but instead he just broke her. She looked at him and whispered in a broken voice, YN, coward. Taehyung doesn't move as if he knew this would come. He's still holding her forearm with both hands. YN freed herself from his grip and backed away. YN, selfish bastard, you only think about yourself. I have a future too. I'm just 18. I also had dreams. I wanted to do something with my life. My parents have so many hopes for me. They believe I'll shine one day. They don't even know I've ruined everything. She was shouting now, choking on her tears. Her whole body was shaking with anger. Taehyung took a deep breath, then said the words he might regret forever. Taehyung, let's abort the child. YN let out a dry laugh through her tears. She wiped her face roughly. YN, of course. What did you think? That I'd carry your child? That I'd sacrifice everything while you chase your dreams? Never. I'll get rid of this baby. She turned and walked away. Taehyung stood frozen for a moment, then groaned loudly and kicked the wall in frustration. YN walked into the house, eyes swollen, lips trembling. Her mother, Suha, looked up from the kitchen and frowned. Suha, YN, what happened? Are you okay? YN didn't meet her eyes. YN, just a terrible headache. I need rest. Without another word she walked to her room, leaving her worried mother standing in the hallway. YN collapsed on her bed and curled into herself. The moment her face hit the pillow, the tears came again, quiet, painful sobs muffled into the sheets. A few minutes later, she heard footsteps outside her door. Panicked, she quickly shut her eyes, pretending to sleep. The door opened softly. Suha peeked inside, seeing her daughter lying still, thinking she was asleep. Suha walked in slowly, pulled the blanket up to her shoulders, and kissed her gently on the head. Suha, sleep well, baby, she whispered softly. YN's lips pressed together tightly as she tried to stop the sobs from escaping. Tears slid silently down her cheeks as the door closed again behind her mother. Taehyung didn't go home. He drove far out of the city, past the noise and lights, until he reached an open field where the stars felt closer. He parked his car on the side of a quiet road and walked barefoot through the grass, trying to escape the guilt, fear, and the mess inside his head. Dropping to the ground, he stared up at the sky. The cool wind brushed through his hair, but his thoughts were loud. What had they done? What will he supposed to do now? His phone buzzed. It was his mother. With a deep breath, he answered and spoke calmly. Taehyung, hey mom, I'm staying at a friend's house tonight. She didn't ask questions. He was always out, but tonight felt different. He ended the call and dropped his phone in the grass beside him. Taehyung lay down, arms behind his head, eyes still searching the stars, but peace never came. The next morning, Yn walked out of the house, telling her parents she was going to college, but as soon as she stepped onto the sidewalk, she froze. Taehyung was standing outside, leaning against his car. His hair was a mess, dark circles under his eyes. When he saw her, he straightened. Taehyung, hey. Yn didn't answer. She walked past him without even a glance and headed toward the bus stop. Taehyung sighed and pushed away from the car to follow her. Taehyung, look, whatever happened, it's terrible. I know, but we both messed up. I'm just a student. Yn, I'm not ready for this. I'm not financially stable. I can't take responsibility yet. His voice was tired, trying to sound calm, trying to explain himself. Taehyung, the baby, it was a mistake, but if you really want to keep it, I won't stop you. I can't help you now, but after a few years, when I start working, I'll support you. I promise. Yn stopped. Slowly, she turned to look at him. Her face was red, her eyes burning with anger. Yn, I also want to be something. Taehyung, I have dreams too, and the baby is a mistake, right? She swallowed hard, her voice breaking. Yn, that's why I'm getting rid of it. Taehyung's shoulders fell. He rubbed a hand over his face, looking frustrated. Taehyung, you're taking me the wrong way. I'm just trying to be honest. He took a step closer, voice softer. Taehyung, come on, let me take you to college in my car.Yn's eyes met his one last time, cold and tired. Yn, I'm not going to college. Her voice was steady, even though her hands were shaking. Yn, I'm going to the hospital, to get rid of your baby. She turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, silent. Yn climbed onto the bus and sat down by the window. She could feel Taehyung behind her, moving slowly. When he reached her row, he hesitated, about to sit beside her, but she quietly picked up her bag and placed it on the empty seat next to her. Without a word, Taehyung let out a tired sigh and sat across the aisle, staring down at his hands. The ride was long. Neither of them spoke. The silence felt heavier with every passing minute. When the bus finally stopped in front of the hospital, Yn got off first, her steps quick. Taehyung followed a few steps behind. She could feel him there, like a shadow. She spoke without turning. Yn, will you please stop following me? Taehyung, I'm just coming along with you. Yn, you don't have to. Taehyung, what if you need my help? She stopped and spun around to face him, her eyes full of frustration. Yn, you've helped enough. Go make your future, enjoy your life, and for God's sake, just leave me alone. He didn't answer. His jaw flexed, but he stayed where he was. Yn turned and walked into the hospital alone. Inside, she sat stiffly across from the doctor, who glanced up from her paperwork and studied Yn over the rim of her glasses. Doctor, you turned 18 last week. Yn swallowed, her throat dry, and nodded. Doctor, technically, you're an adult now, but for this procedure, I still need either your parents' consent or the father's signed permission. The words hit her like a cold slap. Her heart thudded. She stood up and walked out of the room, feeling her hope crumble. Taehyung was still waiting in the hall. He looked up when he saw her, his face tense. For a moment, she just stared at him, her eyes tired and wet. Yn, come inside. Taehyung's gaze searched her face. He nodded slowly and followed her back into the doctor's office. Doctor, you're the father? The word father made Taehyung's heart stutter in his chest. He swallowed and nodded, feeling sweat gather at his hairline. Doctor, all right then, I'll start the procedure. First, I need to check the baby's position. She scribbled something on a prescription pad and handed the paper to Yn. Doctor, do these tests first. Yn took the paper without looking at Taehyung. They walked out together, side by side, but feeling miles apart. They waited in silence outside the ultrasonography room until a nurse came out and calledYn's name. The nurse's eyes flicked between them. Nurse, are you the father? Taehyung cleared his throat. Taehyung, yeah. Nurse, you can come in too if you want. He nodded. Yn shot him a glare, but he ignored it and went in first. Inside, there was another doctor who do the test. The doctor asked Yn to lie back on the narrow bed. She pulled up her shirt just enough to expose her stomach. The cold gel made her flinch. A moment later, the screen flickered to life. Blurry shapes moved across the monitor. The doctor pressed gently on Yen's belly with the probe. Doctor there. Taehyung stared. In the grainy gray image, he could see it small, no bigger than a bean. A tiny flicker pulsed inside it. Doctor, that's the heartbeat. The sound filled the room, quiet but steady. Yen turned her face away, her eyes wet. Taehyung felt something squeeze deep in his chest. He didn't even know what to call the feeling: fear, guilt, something worse. When the doctor finished, she wiped away the gel and helped Yen sit up. Taehyung, when will we get the test reports? Doctor, you'll have everything in about an hour. He nodded and followed Yen back to the waiting area. She sank into a chair, clutching her bag to her chest. Taehyung hovered nearby, shifting from foot to foot. Taehyung, you need to eat something. She didn't even look at him. Instead, she took out her phone and started scrolling like he wasn't there. He sighed, turned, and walked away. Few minutes later, he came back carrying a juice box and a small paper bag. He set them on the table in front of her. Taehyung, here, eat this. She still didn't touch it. Instead, she pulled out the lunchbox her mother had packed: spaghetti, neatly tucked into sections. She took 2 bites before her face went pale. Without a word, she slammed the lid shut, covered her mouth, and rushed toward the bathroom. Taehyung stood up fast, his heart thudding. When Yen came out a few minutes later, she looked exhausted. Her eyes were red, her hair messy. Taehyung, you okay? He reached out, but she walked past him without a word and sat down again. Soon after, the doctor called them back into her office. Doctor, the reports are all fine. Come back in 3 days. We'll do the abortion then. Taehyung swallowed hard. Taehyung, is it risky? Doctor, she's only in her 2nd week of pregnancy. If we do the abortion soon, it will be much safer. The longer you wait, the higher the risk. Yen's voice was small, tired. Yen, do I have to stay in the hospital after? Doctor, yes. We'll need to keep you under observation for at least 1 day. The next day at lunch, Yen was sitting alone on a bench, picking at her food without really eating. Taehyung walked over and sat next to her, dropping his bag on the ground with a sigh. Taehyung, why are you ignoring my calls and messages? Yen didn't look at him. Her voice was quiet. Yen, I don't think we have anything to talk about now. Taehyung's brows pulled together. Taehyung, what are you saying? Yen, we're best friends. I know things got messed up, but we both have equal fault. Slowly, Yen turned to face him. She gave him a small, sad smile. There was no anger in it, just tiredness. Yen, I'm the one at fault. Taehyung, it was me who started it. I forced you to sleep with me because I was stupid and hurt, because I wanted revenge on my ex. Taehyung, no, Yen, you didn't force me. Yen, I've thought about it a lot. I knew you were a playboy. I knew it wouldn't last. But she sighed and lifted her eyes to the sky, blinking back the sting in them. Yen, but I kept doing it anyway. And now, when I look at everything, I realize, I'm not really angry at you. I'm angry at myself. Taehyung, Yen, you're not in your right mind right now. He sounded worried. She nodded slowly. Yen, you're right. My feelings are a mess. I thought everything between us was clear as glass. But yesterday, when I saw you with that girl, I felt terrible, like something broke inside me. Taehyung's throat bobbed. Yen, then I told you I was pregnant. I thought you'd understand, that maybe you'd give me some strength, or say something to make it feel less scary. But instead, her eyes turned to him, glassy and exhausted. Yen, instead you worried about your future. Taehyung, I'm sorry. That moment, nothing came to my mind. Yen, except your dreams and your future, right? She said it with a small, sad smile that hurt worse than yelling. Taehyung opened his mouth, but no words came out. Yen, alright, let's not talk about it anymore. After we sacrifice this innocent soul for our bright futures, everything will go back to normal. She looked down, her palm resting gently over her stomach. Taehyung followed her gaze, and for a second, he felt something twist painfully in his chest. Just then, a tall shadow fell over them. Musa, the basketball champion of their college, stood there. He was tall, strong, with dark skin and sharp eyes. Every girl wanted him, but he never paid attention to anyone. Musa, hey Yen, I heard you and that rap broke up. YRN looked up, startled, then nodded with a tired smile. Musa, great. Today I have a match against State College. I want you there to cheer for me. Taehyung's head snapped up. Taehyung, why her? You'll have plenty of girls cheering for you. Musa smirked and looked at him like he was nothing. Musa, because she's special. So YN, are you coming? YN swallowed. YN, I don't have classes after lunch, so I'm free. Musa, good. Let's go. YN stood and walked away with him, leaving Taehyung sitting there unable to move. As he watched her disappear with Musa, jealousy coiled hot and tight inside him. After classes, Taehyung didn't go home. He stayed outside the campus gates, leaning against his car. His eyes kept searching the crowd. Finally, he spotted YRN. She was walking out with Musa, laughing at something he'd said. Something cold and sharp twisted in Taehyung's chest. He frowned, feeling annoyed, jealous, and insecure all at once. Without thinking, he pushed off the car and strode over to them. Taehyung, I was waiting for you. YRN, let's go. We're getting late. Before she could answer, he grabbed her hand and started dragging her away. YN, hey, what's wrong with you? You didn't even let me say goodbye. Taehyung, you're my best friend. You should hang out with me, not him. YRN stopped walking and stared at him. Then she looked away, her face closing off. The look made something in Taehyung's chest squeeze in fear. Taehyung, whatever's happening, this won't affect our friendship, right? For a moment, she was quiet, then she lifted her gaze to his, and her voice was so calm it hurt more than shouting. YRN, I'm afraid things between us can never be normal again. I feel like I'm living in a nightmare, and in the future, to forget this nightmare, I'll need to stay away from you. His mouth fell open. Taehyung, how can you say that? YRN, we're best friends. She looked at him, her eyes set and tired. YRN, from now on, we're not. Then she walked past him without another word. Taehyung just stood there, frozen, as she climbed onto the bus and left him behind alone and frustrated. At breakfast the next morning, YN sat at the table, picking at her food. Her heart beat so fast she felt dizzy. After a long moment, she took a shaky breath and finally spoke. YN, I'll go to my friend's house tomorrow. I'll stay there for a day. Adam smiled and reached for his cup of coffee. Adam, sure, if you want, go ahead. Just enjoy your life. This is the best time to have fun, you know. He let out a little laugh, but Sua didn't look convinced. She studied YN with worried eyes. Sua, you never stay at any friend's house before. Is there any special reason? YN swallowed. YN, she's transferring to another college, so before she leaves, she wants to have a sleepover. Sua's expression softened a little. Sua, oh, all right then, just take care of yourself. When Taehyung stepped inside the main gate, he noticed something strange. A big crowd was gathered in the courtyard, everyone whispering and holding up their phones. Curiosity burned through his frustration. He pushed his way forward, shoving past shoulders until he reached the front, and what he saw made his blood boil. Musa was kneeling in front of YN, holding out a bouquet of red roses. Ryan was yelling, trying to push through Musa's tall, broad-shouldered friends who blocked him with crossed arms. Ryan, what the hell are you doing? Jerk, she's my girlfriend. One of Musa's friends smirked down at him. Friend, don't ruin their moment, rat. Tiffany stood on the edge of the crowd, arms folded under her chest, scowling. Tiffany, why does this bitch always get the hottest boys? But Taehyung didn't even hear them. He couldn't see anything but red. His chest felt tight, like it would explode. Before he even knew what he was doing, he pushed Musa aside and grabbed YN by the wrist. She turned to him, startled, but he didn't give her a chance to speak. Taehyung yanked her close and crushed his mouth to hers in a kiss so rough, so hungry. The crowd gasped. YN was too stunned to move. Her hands hung by her sides as he kissed her like she was the only thing he'd ever wanted.